Some people struggle with money no matter how much they make. And while it's easy to assume it's about income, circumstances, or not saving enough, the real reasons can go much deeper and are often due to habits they don't even realize. So here are a few habits that can keep some people stuck. One common but hidden habit of some people who struggle with money is avoiding their finances altogether. It's not a matter of not knowing that they need to budget or track their spending better or cut out some expenses. Rather, they just don't want to deal with it all. Checking their bank account, opening bills, or even talking about money can sometimes bring up stress or fear, so the easiest way to cope is avoidance. People who avoid their finances often feel as if they're in survival mode. They tell themselves that they'll deal with it later, but later keeps getting pushed back. However, by not confronting their financial situation head on, they can unknowingly dig themselves into a deeper hole where money becomes this mysterious thing that they assume they'll never be good at, which creates a vicious cycle. Number 2, treating wants like needs. There is a line between a need and a want, and unfortunately for many people, that line can get blurry fast. With that being said, some people who struggle with money despite earning enough tend to convince themselves that non-essential items are necessary. So they might justify buying new clothes because they need them for work, or splurge on takeout because they're too tired to cook. And this habit is very sneaky because in the moment, it can seem very harmless. But even though each purchase can feel like a small thing, over time, the mindset of "I deserve this" or "I need that" often leads to overspending. The truth is, people who do this are actually prioritizing short-term comfort over long-term stability. And if you want to get really honest, in most cases, it's just emotional spending disguised as treat yourself. And speaking of emotional spending, this is another habit that's deeply connected to why some people struggle. When things get tough, whether it's stress at work, a relationship, or boredom issues, for some people, shopping becomes the go-to solution. But in this instance, it's about more than just spending money. It's about using purchases to feel in control or to create a temporary sense of happiness. And the main problem with emotional spending is that it's reactive. So something goes wrong and then you spend to cope. However, once the dopamine wears off, you're then left feeling the same as before, if not worse. In the end, people who rely on emotional spending can find themselves trapped in this loop of quick highs followed by financial lows, which often results in chasing temporary relief instead of fixing the root problem. Number 4, believing they'll figure it out later. Oddly enough, some people who struggle with money can also have a strong sense of optimism, but unfortunately, this can also work against them. They genuinely believe that things will eventually get better. The problem, though, is that they might not have any real plan in place to make this happen. And this mindset is dangerous because for some people, it could cause them to become very passive when it comes to their money. This whole ideal of "you'll just figure it out later" can result in constantly kicking the can down the road. So there's no real urgency to make hard decisions today because you're relying on your future self to somehow manage, but in reality, nothing changes. And lastly, another habit of people who struggle with money is being stuck in a scarcity mindset. And this is the belief that there's never enough, whether that's money, time, or opportunities. People with this mindset constantly worry that they're missing out or that they'll never get ahead. So they either hold on to money too tightly or spend impulsively because they feel there's no point in saving. But this mindset is also dangerous because once you're here, your decisions become based on fear and lack. It causes some people to be either overly frugal to the point of not enjoying life or to give up entirely and make reckless choices. However, neither approach leads to financial growth because both are based on the idea that money is a limited resource. Now, the good news is that these habits can be changed, but only when they're recognized. So here's what you're going to do. First, take the time to review your bank accounts and bills on a regular basis. This means knowing exactly how much you have, how much you owe, and where your money goes. By getting familiar with your finances, you can begin to identify where changes need to be made and start taking control. Also, before making a purchase, ask yourself if the item is truly necessary. It's so easy to justify spending, but taking the extra step to evaluate the difference between needs and wants can help you cut out unnecessary expenses and focus on what matters most. Additionally, stop using spending as an emotional escape. So instead of reaching for your wallet when you're stressed, explore healthier outlets like exercising, picking up a new hobby, or connecting with friends. You also have to make a plan for your money, keeping in mind that it doesn't have to be overwhelming or complex. So start with simple steps like setting a monthly budget or creating a small savings goal. The key is really to take action now and stop leaving things to chance. And finally, you have to shift your thought process from scarcity to abundance. So whereas a scarcity mindset focuses on what you lack, abundance sees potential and opportunity. To make this change, you need to first recognize that improving your finances will take time. So instead of focusing on quick fixes, create and follow a plan that will grow your resources over the long term.